Title: Symmetry and Balance. Module: Composition Mastery. Symmetry is one of the most visually satisfying principles in photography. From nature to architecture, the human eye is naturally drawn to balance, order, and harmony. When elements on both sides of a frame mirror each other, the result often feels calm, stable, and complete. In fine art figure photography, symmetry and balance are powerful tools for creating strong visual impact and emotional clarity. Symmetry occurs when one side of an image closely reflects the other. This can be perfect symmetry, where both sides are nearly identical, or approximate symmetry, where elements feel visually balanced even if they are not exact mirror images. A centered figure standing in front of a symmetrical background, such as a doorway, hallway, or reflective surface, can create a sense of stillness and strength. The viewer's attention is immediately drawn to the center of the frame, where everything feels grounded and intentional. This type of composition often communicates stability, control, and presence. It removes visual tension and replaces it with clarity. However, symmetry is not the only form of balance. Balance in photography also refers to the distribution of visual weight within a frame. A large empty space on one side can be balanced by a small but visually strong subject on the other. A bright area can be balanced by a darker, more textured area. A complex shape can be balanced by a simpler one. In this sense, balance is not about equality. It is about harmony. In figure photography, the human body itself often becomes the central anchor of balance. The placement of a figure within the frame determines how the viewer experiences stability or movement. A centered composition with a symmetrical pose can feel formal, almost sculptural. It often emphasizes stillness and timelessness, similar to classical portraiture and ancient sculpture. On the other hand, slight asymmetry can introduce energy and tension. A figure positioned off-center, with one arm extended or the body angled, creates a more dynamic relationship with the surrounding space. The image begins to feel alive, as if something is happening just outside the frame. Both approaches are valid. The choice depends entirely on the emotional message you want to communicate. One of the most important aspects of symmetry and balance is the relationship between subject and environment. A perfectly centered figure may feel powerful in a symmetrical architectural space, but the same composition might feel static or disconnected in a natural environment. Context always influences meaning. Reflections are another powerful way to create symmetry. Water, glass, and polished surfaces can mirror the human form, doubling the visual impact and creating a sense of dreamlike harmony. These natural reflections often blur the line between reality and abstraction, adding emotional depth to the image. It is also important to understand that perfect symmetry is not always the goal. Human perception often finds beauty in slight imperfections. A composition that is too rigid can feel artificial. Small deviations from perfect balance can actually make an image feel more natural and emotionally engaging. In fine art photography, balance is not about mathematical precision. It is about emotional equilibrium. A photograph feels balanced when no single element overwhelms the entire frame, unless that dominance is intentional. The viewer should feel guided, not confused. There should be a sense of visual stability, even if the composition is dynamic. One useful exercise is to analyze your images by mentally dividing them in half. Ask yourself whether one side feels heavier than the other. If it does, consider how light, subject placement, or negative space could be adjusted to restore balance or intentionally create tension. Master photographers often use symmetry to create a sense of reverence. Centered compositions can elevate a subject, making them appear iconic or monumental. At the same time, controlled asymmetry can introduce intimacy, movement, and storytelling. In fine art figure photography, both approaches are essential tools. Symmetry gives you order. Balance gives you harmony. And together, they allow you to shape how the viewer emotionally experiences the image. Ultimately, symmetry and balance are not about rules. They're about awareness. They teach you to see how every element within the frame interacts with everything else. When used with intention, they transform composition from simple arrangement into visual poetry.